Well, a very warm welcome from my side. I'm Brian States. I'm the General Manager here at Rolls Royce Leather Shop. We're at the heart of the start of our process, and as you can see from behind me, we've got our gorgeous leather that goes into each and every one of our cars. And what's important about our leather is where it comes from and the quality that we can get for making those interiors. And it all starts with the animal welfare. A good quality grazing and feeding for the animal and welfare for the animal means good quality living and good quality skin for us to do our start with.
Could you tell me about the colors of these, these four ones that we see? What are they called? Because they're just beautiful.
So we have a really wide range of, let's call it the colours that we would make available to our customers. And yeah, we've got all sorts here. We've got mandarin, we've got navy blues, magella red, really great, strong, vibrant colours. And also, of course, the classic black and things like that as well, which make a really sharp, business-like interior. But of course, the ultimate would be, what colour would you like? Name it, we'll do it.
Okay, so let's get into the cycle of creating the interior in leather for a Rolls Royce. Where does it start, and tell me about the process.
The first thing we do is that we then take it into an inspection. What we're looking for is any little defect. It might be an insect bite, might be a processing defect, might be a cut that the animal has experienced whilst it was growing. We'll be inspecting for all of those little things that we wouldn't want to put into the car. And we can show you that just over here and show you in more detail. We bring the hide onto our inspection table, we give it a 10% stretch, and that stretch allows us to see imperfections that the customer would not see in the car, but we will eliminate right at the beginning of our process. So we'll then mark up small little defects and then make sure this hide is ready to go into the next stage, into the nesting process, to mark out each of the panels for the car's interior. So once we've done the inspection, you'll see that we then have marks on the hide which show us which areas to avoid and bring the panels onto the hide. So we then bring the panel onto the cutting table. And the cutting table is in 3 sections, and section 1 is what we call nesting, and this is an all-day technical jigsaw. What do I mean by that? For a Phantom, we have 460, 470 individual panels that we have to cut from the leather that would make up the interior of the vehicle, depending on the options for that car. Each of those panels, it has to be projected down onto the leather, stored in the computer, and then we'll go into the cutting section.
Do you even know how much time you need to finish the interior of one entire Phantom 8?
So for a Phantom extended wheelbase, we'd be talking about 6,600 minutes worth of activity, with some options on top. That will go to a much greater time, depending on embroidery detail, and or different materials that we could use in the vehicle. So we're beginning the process now, bringing the leather parts that we've seen in preparation, we're bringing those together. Rhiannon here is doing her expert work and taking real care in bringing that together in a way that the customer's going to really appreciate. In terms of building the skills, it's not a job, as you can imagine, that just comes naturally and very quickly. So we have a lot of training, and also we bring in a lot of apprentices into the area, so they start their careers as sewing specialists in the leather shop.
This looks like embroidery. Tell me what we have here.
So this is exactly what you've said. This is embroidery. This is something that we do a lot of. And we do really specific stuff for our clients, working really closely with them and our design team to create some amazing embroidery with our own sort of special touch, effectively. You can see here we're building up this picture that will be embroidered onto the leather, and we can see from this angle the kind of the fullness of the picture. But when we begin to zoom in, we can see that each individual stitch that will go into this pattern and how this has been plotted by hand by the embroidery specialist. So each and every stitch, the way it ends, the direction it goes, the way they join together will create that flip, that gloss effect as the light changes across the piece. And so the customer will receive something which is really elegant but also somewhat alive in their car.
And do you have any idea how many stitches there are in that tiger skull?
This particular design is 12,000. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we've got the panel from our supplier, that's the door casing, and then we're going to start applying the foam. Now what's critical here in terms of the accuracy is you'll notice that there has to be a gap between the panel and the edge of the foam. Why is that gap there? That gap is there to put our seam from the leather where the two pieces come together, and it has to sit in the gap. So if the gap's not there, the door won't look right, and if the gap's too big, the door won't look right. So the skill of the associate here is getting it absolutely perfectly fitted with the right gap all the way around so we get the perfect door for our customer. So that's the first bit of foam ready for the leather on that door panel. He's got more pieces to fit, but let's watch the next bit of the process. What we can see here is we've got an IP top panel, a dashboard top panel. We've done the top surface and now we're doing the return edge. That'll go underneath the fascia. We can see that the foam element is in here, soft touch, and we're just going to attach this leather to this component. So the glue is dry on both the leather and the panel, and now we're going to activate it with heat and slowly work the leather to get a perfect smooth finish and a good attachment across the whole piece of leather.